Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on South African business registration. And thank you very much for joining us. My name is Elma Pinkham, and I will be the facilitator today. I'm employed in the Corporate Education and Compliance Unit of CIPC. The webinar is hosted by the DTI, or DTIC in short, in partnership with the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, CIPC, and proudly South African. As we are all aware, the COVID pandemic has had a very negative impact on the South African economy, resulting in many businesses downsizing or closing down. Many people have lost their jobs and must now create work for themselves. This webinar is aimed at assisting entrepreneurs to register their businesses and ensuring the businesses remain active on the CIPC database by being compliant with annual returns. We also want to make you aware of intellectual property rights, as well as inform you about how your company can become a proudly South African member company and how this membership will benefit your business. The webinar will start with a presentation by Proudly South African on member company registration. This will be followed by two presentations by CIPC, the first of which will be on company registration and annual returns, and the second on intellectual property awareness. A question and answer session will follow after the presentations have been delivered. You are welcome to post your questions on the Q&A on our system. The webinar will be recorded and will remain available on all the respective social media platforms on which it is live streamed today. If I can introduce you to our panel members. We've got 4 panel members. The first panel member is Alicia Logan. She is the membership manager at Proudly South African. Alicia Logan is the head of a membership unit at Proudly South Africa. She's devoted to de-risking the supply chain through localization. The best part of her job is to constantly look at ways and means to assist member companies to localize manufacturing in order to create a much needed employment for South Africa. Our second speaker will be Sean Kelly. Shani is an education specialist at the CIPC Corporate Education and Compliance Unit. She has started her career at the Department of Trade and Industry in April 2002. She has traveled throughout South Africa, educating existing and up-and-coming SMEs and entrepreneurs on CIPC company and cooperative services. Since the start of the COVID pandemic, she has diverged into online webinars promoting CIPC services virtually. She has also represented our unit at ministerial outreach events of the DTIC. Kelly has a bachelor's degree in business administration. Our other speaker on intellectual property will be Mr. Gregory Forza. He's a senior education specialist and is responsible for developing and presenting intellectual property or IP outreach. Mr. Forza has been with the section since 2010 and was also responsible for indigenous knowledge. Before 2010, he was with the Trademark unit of CIPC for 8 years. He has a law degree and has done a few WIPO courses over the years. He's also a member of the WIPO Summer School task team. Then our fourth panel member is Mr. Marumo Modiba. Mr. Modiba is a senior manager of the Corporate Education and Compliance Unit of CIPC. He will be joining us during the webinar in the question and answer session to assist us with answering your questions. Furthermore, as is our tradition, Mr. Modiba will give a brief introduction to the CIPC at the beginning of a CIPC presentations. With that, I want to hand over to Ms. Alicia Logan that she may start with her presentation. Thank you very much, Alicia.
Good day, Alma, and good day, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. As introduced, I am Alicia Logan, and I head up the membership department at Proudly South African. During this session, it will be my absolute pleasure to take you through the Proudly South African membership application process, the tiered approach to membership, and the multitude of benefits attached to membership. In a nutshell, Proudly South African is the country's advocacy campaign for buying local. In order for Proudly South African to advocate on behalf of your company in terms of the services you offer or the products you manufacture, you need to become a member of Proudly South African. Next slide. How do you become a member of Proudly South African? The approach is a quick but strict one. Quick because we have multiple membership consultants available to take you through the entire process of membership or the application for membership. Strict because we are governed by very strict compliance. So we need to make sure that in order for you to become a member company, you need to meet the 4 key criteria that govern membership. Next slide. The 4 key criteria are local content, quality, environmental standards, and fair labor practices. In terms of local content, it is imperative that as a country's advocacy campaign for buying local, that we need to make sure that the goods manufactured or the product manufactured by our member companies is locally manufactured. We do allow for a certain percentage to be brought into the country. By this I mean, in terms of local content, we vet in 2 ways. We look at whether your product is 100% manufactured here in South Africa, or we allow the product, at least 50% or more of that product, to be manufactured within the borders of South Africa, with a certain percentage of the raw materials being imported into the country. Every member company that applies for membership has a different sort of local content, and this is where the vetting process kicks in. We need to look at the entire supply chain to confirm local content. This, as I said, is very important, either 100% locally manufactured product or service, or 50% or more of that product needs to confirm or be confirmed that is manufactured or assembled here in South Africa. Then in terms of quality, one needs to be cognizant of the fact that the Proudly South African logo is a registered trademark, and it denotes quality and confirms local content. Being a registered trademark, we need to ensure that a product meets the quality standard necessary for us to be able to allow a member company to use the logo onto that product. Hence, quality, we request test reports or ISO certificates, especially when it comes to food products or cosmetic products. We insist on quality reports or test reports so that we can confirm that your product has gone through the relevant testing and that the product is good for human consumption or human use. So ISO certification is an absolute important criteria, and we do not confirm any company for membership if the test reports or quality certificates are not in place. Environmental standards. This is where we have a bit of leniency in terms of the vetting process. Environmental policies, it is important for companies to have an environmental policy in place. However, in terms of our membership database, we understand that the database is largely made up of SMMEs, and we understand the financial constraints that entrepreneurs and small to medium enterprises have or go through. So we understand if an environmental policy is not always in place. If you have one, great, you would have ticked that box in terms of the vetting process. But if you do not have one, we do have a declaration form that companies can sign to say they do not have an environmental policy, but would still like to apply for Proudly SA membership. Then in terms of fair labor practices, I think, our entire mandate of the advocacy campaign to buy local is there not only because we want consumers and procurement to procure local, but because we want to create jobs in the local market. That is the ultimate mandate of Proudly South African, to create jobs in the local market. We do not want to create jobs in unfair labor environments. So fair labor practices is a very important vetting criteria. We need to make sure that companies that join as a member company to the campaign abides by the fair labor practices of South Africa. That in a nutshell is the 4 key criteria. As I said before, it is a quick process if all your documentation is in place, but it is a strict process because the vetting is paramount, and we insist on making sure that these 4 key criteria is applied for by our member companies. Next slide. In terms of the tiered approach to membership, we look at member companies broadly, and we do not feel that every company can afford the same membership fee structure. So we have 6 tiered approaches to membership. An NGO, a startup, an entrepreneur, a crafter, that is at a turnover of under 5 million rand per annum. Your membership fee is 500 rand. This is a once-off fee for the year, renewable next year during the same time. So it is not a monthly fee. I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions, is that people think that the Proudly SA membership fee structure and the fee is a monthly fee. It is an annual fee. So you pay this fee once for the year, for a full year's worth of membership. We start off with the NGOs, entrepreneurs, crafters at 500 Rand ex-VAT for a year's worth of membership. Then we go into the SMMEs between 5 and 10 million at 1,000 Rand for a year's worth of membership. The silver members are between the bracket of 10 million to 30 million turnover per annum at 10,000 Rand. Gold membership is at 20,000, platinum at 50,000, and diamond membership at 100,000 Rand. In order to, it's also very important for me to confirm that this fee structure has not changed in the past 5 years. It has remained the same for the past 5 years. We have not increased the fee structure on an annual basis, and all our diamond members are privy to a 10% discount for a 2-year membership and a 20% discount for a 3-year membership. Next slide. Being a Proudly South African member, there's a multitude of benefits attached to being a member. Some of the benefits, in a summarized or a nutshell, is the use of the Proudly South African logo. As confirmed previously when I was talking you through the 4 criteria for membership, the Proudly SA logo is a registered trademark denoting quality and confirming local content. Once you as a company has been approved for membership, we allow you to use the logo on all of your marketing and business collateral. So if you're a company that manufactures a product, you're allowed to use our logo onto your product. If you're a company that is a service provider, you're allowed to use the logo on all of your business and marketing collateral. We do provide you with a CI manual that can guide you on the use of the logo or the application of the logo. We also have more recently many access to market platforms as a benefit to you, the member company. One of the most recent benefits is the MAP program. That is, MAP is short form for Market Access Platform. This is a software or a platform where all our member companies are placed. You are put onto this platform, and whatever tenders or RFQs you have come out, other member companies are allowed to apply for those RFQs or tenders. So it is one member accessing benefit from another member and vice versa. We also have the tender opportunities or the tender monitoring platform, whereby you have first-hand access to tender opportunities designated for local content by the DTIC. And what happens is a membership consultant will, on a monthly basis, sift through the categories that you as a member company falls within, and they will email you the tenders relevant to your business on a monthly basis to ensure that you have first-hand opportunity at these RFQs or tenders. What happens here is, or the aim here is to ensure that the private sector and the public sector start working closer together. Next slide. Then there's facilitation of B2b opportunities. Our member companies are always interested to work with each other. On an absolute daily basis, our member companies come through to us and say, hi, I would like for you to introduce me to this member company or that member company, because there's opportunity for joint business ventures. And we do that. We understand with the POPI Act, there are certain restrictions to this, but we always ensure that the permission is granted on both sides before any B2B introduction is undertaken. So here again, B2B opportunities for our private sector companies to work with each other to grow their portfolios. And of course, we have participation in our flagship event, the Buy Local Summit and Exhibition. That happens once a year, most often in March, and it runs for 3 to 4 days. This is our flagship event, and you do not pay a separate fee to participate in this event. By being a member company to the campaign, you're already qualified to participate in our flagship event. And of course, we have a marketing department that consists of PR, events, and brand management. And this department hosts various webinars linked to market access opportunities, linked to the daily operation of your small to medium enterprises, and linked to various events within a calendar year. So these, the marketing department's initiative is really to showcase your product, showcase the services you offer, and to have you actively participate in all events so that you gain the most amount of marketing exposure for your business. So that in a nutshell is basically the benefits attached to Proudly South African membership. What is very important to note is that we always encourage member companies to work very closely with our consultants. We have 28 different sectors that our member companies fall within. As you can imagine, we are not sector experts, but we need your guidance on how to best expose your product or your brand or your services in the South African market. So while we are here with the benefits, we also need you to actively participate with us to showcase your company, your brand, your product, and your service to ensure that you get the most out of your membership benefits. So I would say that in a nutshell is basically how to apply for membership, the tiered approach to membership, and the benefits attached to membership. I would be happy to answer all of your questions. You can place them in the chat box. I will also have my contact details in the chat box for you to make contact should you want access to the presentation and more information on membership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alicia. We're going to start with a presentation of CIPC, and I'm first handing over to Mr. Marumo Modiba for an introduction to CIPC, after which I want to ask Shani Kelly to immediately, when he's done, start with her presentation. Thank you, Marumo.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Marumo Modiba. I'm just going to give you an overview of who is CIPC. CIPC, which is Companies Intellectual Property Commission. Our mandate emanates from Section 185, subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2008. The Commission is a self-sustainable agency operating under the umbrella of the dtic. As a regulator, the Commission is the custodian of the Companies Act, the Cooperatives Act, Close Corporations, and other related acts, as well as the Intellectual Property Act in its domain of patents, design, trademarks, and copyright. The Commission is led by the Commissioner Advocate Rory Fowler. The main objective of the Commission is to enable potential entrepreneurs to register companies to engage in the economic mainstream, as well as to enforce the Act for good governance. Allow me to use this opportunity as part of the key discussion points for this webinar, talks to the issue of support. CIPC recently, we launched a Learn IBIS program. This is a short education course aimed at assisting SMMEs directors to gain knowledge of their duties and responsibilities to improve compliance. This course is free of charge. Anyone can register on our CIPC website, which is www.co.za, to access this. And upon completion of this course, a certificate of attendance will be issued to attend this. I therefore encourage potential entrepreneurs or anyone to go through this free course, because it's really very much information that will educate you to ensure that as an owner of a business, what is actually expected of you as the owner of the business, to ensure that you run your business in accordance with the law of South Africa. I thank you. I'm going to now hand you over to my colleague, who's going to touch on the issue of benefits of registering a company, as well as other matters that have been highlighted as key issues for discussion. Over to you, Shani Kelly.
Good day. My name is Shani Kelly, and I will be starting off with the benefits of company registration. Benefits of company registration. Registered businesses have limited liabilities. Directors and shareholders are not personally liable for claims made against the company. Registered businesses can exist indefinitely. If a director or shareholder dies, the business can still continue. Registered companies can apply for government tenders, contracts, or support. It is more professional to do your business under a registered business name than under an individual name. Registered businesses might be able to attract foreign investment. They are also able to open business bank accounts. Depending on turnover, the tax rate for companies may be lower than that of an individual. I'm now going to discuss fake CIPC agents and registrations. CIPC does not have agents. Third-party service providers may assist customers with CIPC services, but are independent from CIPC. The majority of these service providers are legitimate and provide service in an ethical and honest manner. However, customers may be aware there are persons that take money from customers to do services with CIPC on their behalf, but then disappear with the customer's money without providing the service, or even providing fake certificates or documentation. It is therefore important to first make sure the service provided is legitimate. CIPC charges prescribed fees for services. Third-party service providers charges additional fees to do the services on behalf of the customer. Now I'm going to talk about the CIP Service Platforms. CIPC has a number of platforms to provide customers with a choice of how they prefer to apply for services and to shorten service delivery time. Platforms refer to online or internet service used to apply for services. For instance, CIPC Facebooks share information and is used to live stream webinars. Followers of CIPC get notifications or informations of webinars. USSD services, if you dial *134 *2472 hash to view the CIPC banking details, customer balance inquiry, registration inquiry, BBBEE certificate, and financial year end. Old e-services is utilized for services such as name reservations for MOI, changes of directors, members, auditors, MOIs, financial year end, business address, and disclosure. This presentation will focus on two platforms, namely BizPortal and new e-services. More details on them will be provided later in this presentation. Standard turnaround times for the different kinds of services are available on our website. It is a condition that that customers submit accurate and complete information, and sufficient funds must be available for the transaction to be processed at the time of submission of the application. Okay, the different types of companies, categories and types. There are two categories of companies, non-profit companies and profit companies. There are different types of profit companies. Private companies, public companies, personal liability companies, external companies which can be registered as non-profit or profit companies, and state-owned companies. This presentation will only provide details for private companies, non-profit companies, and public company registration. I'm now going to talk to you about non-profit company registration. NPCs are incorporated for public benefit or other cultural or social activities, or even communal or group interest. Company income, property, and profits cannot be distributed to members or directors. Non-profit companies without members cost 175 Rand. This includes name reservation. Registration for non-profit companies is done through online services, example, BizPortal or new e-services, or at any self-service center. The turnaround time is 24 hours. Non-profit companies with members cost 475 Rand. This includes name reservation. Registration for non-profit company with members is done through a manual process. The turnaround time for this is between 5 to 10 working days. A profit company, private company registration, that is a PTY Ltd, requires a minimum of 1 member. There is no maximum number of members. This does not offer shares to the public. The cost is 175 Rand including name reservation. Private companies with standard memorandum of incorporation, registration is done through online services, BIS portal, or new e-services, or at self-service centers. The turnaround time is 24 hours. Private companies with customized memorandum of incorporation, registration is done through a manual process. The turnaround time is between 5 to 10 working days. Now, a public company registration. This requires a minimum of 3 members. There is no maximum number of members. It offers shares to the public. The transfer of shares are not restricted. This costs 475 Rand, including name reservation. Registration is done through a manual process, and the turnaround time is between 5 to 10 working days. I am going to take you through name reservations for companies. Name reservation is optional but advisable. It costs 50 Rand. Name reservation can be done before applying for company registration or during the process on BIS portal or new e-services. If not reserved beforehand and the name chosen during the process is not available, the company registration number will also be the name of the company. A name change can be done at a later stage by applying to change the name and the memorandum of incorporation. No fee applicable for name change from a registration number. Okay, a proposed name must not be the same or so similar to an existing business name that it may be misleading, and a proposed name must not be undesirable, prohibited, deceivable, or misled. Each application contains 4 different names in order of preference. If the first name is not available, the second name will be considered for availability, and so on. Name reservations done on one platform cannot be used on another platform. So if you do name reservation on new e-services, it cannot be completed on BIS portal or old e-services. It must be completed on the same platform. I am going to share information now on BIS portal. BIS portal can be found on www.bisportal.gov.za. CIPC developed this platform.
Shani, sorry I'm interrupting you. We are having a problem that the slides are not moving. We have been requested that you stop sharing your presentation and then re-share it again. Let us see whether this will assist that the slides can move. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see my slides now, Elma? Alma, can you see my slides now?
Yes, yes, I think so. Thank you. Okay, you can continue, Shani. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take you through to sharing of information on BIS portal. BIS portal CIPC developed this platform to offer company registration and related services in a quick and easy way. It is a paperless service. For director verification, you will need all directors' ID documents, ID card details, marriage certificate details, and spouse ID number. Currently, it caters for South African citizens only. Other servers that are available on this portal are your SARS information, register with UIF and Compensation Fund, obtain a BBB EE certificate if business turnover is less than 10 million, a domain name, which is your website address, apply for a business bank account through ABSA, FNB, Netbank, Standard Bank, and CESPA. Okay. I'm now going to take you through the BizPortal fee payment. This can be done with a check or credit card online or with the customer code declining balance. The preferred payment method is using the online card payment option, as the customer code declining balance payment system will be phased out in the next few months. If you use the customer code declining balance payment system, note the following. The funds must reflect against the customer code within 24 hours from the time of submitting the application. Otherwise, the application will be rejected. Payments must be made with ABSA at an ATM, branch, or with ABSA online banking system. The payment reference is always your 6-character customer code. Payments with ABSA are automatically allocated to your account within 30 minutes. A little bit more about the customer code. Payments from other banks may cause challenges as some banks add additional characters to references, which make the references invalid on CIPC side. Invalid references cannot be allocated automatically to your customer code. Payments from banks other than ABSA can take up to 48 hours to reach the CIPC account, even if they do not add extra characters. By that time, the transaction will already be rejected. If the payment was not done correctly and the funds were not correctly allocated to your account at CIPC, you will have to apply for allocation of funds on the inquiry system, which is on the CIPC website. What you should know before you start using BizPortal. You will use your ID number as your username to log on. If you already have a customer code, a CIPC customer code, your registered details and password will allow you to log in on BizPortal. If you do not have a CIPC customer code yet, you will have to complete the user registration process on BizPortal. The system would allocate you a customer code, which should be kept for when you want to access services that are not available on BizPortal and for which some of CIP's other platforms may be used. Example, e-services or new e-services. A private company must have at least one director and a non-profit company a minimum of 3 directors. I am now going to discuss new e-services, another platform of CIPC. CIPC introduced a new online registration system known as e-services to simplify its processes. The system allows for the quickest processing of application. The services are available 24/7. New e-services can be used for name reservation, registration of private companies, non-profit companies without members, primary, secondary, and tertiary cooperative registration, and business rescue. Each person, members, and directors must have their own email address and cell phone number. Fee payments are done with debit and credit cards, thereby eliminating the misallocation of funds, as sometimes experienced with the customer code declining balance system. Find new e-services under online transacting on the CIPC website. A little picture of our CIPC website, and with the red arrow, you will see that if you click on the icon online transacting, you will get a drop-down arrow and you will be able to click on the new e-services icon. Okay, now register to be a new e-services user. New and existing customers must complete or update their details before they can log on. The customer's email address is used as a username. A profile must be updated to change the email address or cell phone number. Only South African citizens with valid IDs will be able to register as users on new e-services currently. Foreigners will be able to register at a future date, which will be communicated via a CIPC website notice. No supporting documents are required to be emailed to CIPC unless directors and/or company incorporators are foreign nationals. Certified passport copies are then required. There are step-by-step guides available on the website with detailed information to assist you with all the processes. Once registered, the certificate will be emailed to the user email address and will also be available free of charge for 30 days on new e-services. If you forgot your password, click on Customer Password Reset.
Shani, sorry to
Yes, Alma?
interrupt you again. We're still having the problem that your slides are not moving. Can I ask that you again stop sharing and go to and reshare, that we just see if it doesn't perhaps help? We will also ask that persons are welcome to send their email addresses or just send the email to us at education@cipc.co.za. We won't be able to send you the slides at this point, but after the webinar, we will send it to you. Then at least you will be able to have a look at it. Thank you, Shani. You can continue.
Okay. I am now going to take you through annual returns. Annual returns, submission to CIPC are compulsory. If not submitted, CIPC will start a deregistration process. Annual returns is not related to SARS tax returns. Companies must file their annual returns within 30 business days after registration anniversary date. Calculations and payment options for annual returns are on the CIPC website by clicking on the IR icon at the CIP Self-Service Center or partner site or on BIS portal, as well as the CIPC mobile app. Card payments. Payments is done with the debit or credit cards, which can directly be done after calculation on the website. Now, your annual return fees. If your turnover is less than R1 million, the cost of your annual returns is R100 if it's filed within 30 business days after your anniversary date. If you do not file it in the month of your anniversary, you will pay a late lodgement penalty, which is an additional R150. The FAS and the AFS. Before payment of annual returns, a financial accountability supplement, which is also called FAS or an annual financial statement, which is called AFS, must be filed on e-services. It can be filed as part of your annual return process or on its own. FAS, your Financial Accountability Supplement, is a summary of information regarding a company's records, keeping and the maintenance of the financial records. Private companies that do not need to submit financial statements must file FAS through e-services. FAS is an easy questionnaire that has to be answered. Companies that must file audited AFS in terms of Regulation 28 of the Companies Act must do so through XBRL. XBRL is an extensible business reporting language for electronic communication of business information, a computer program that is required to transfer the audited annual financial statements to e-services. XBRL makes it easier for companies to report their financial information in an electronic format. For more FAS and AFS information, consult our website's frequently asked questions. You can also see the XBRL program icon. For other queries, you are welcome to email xbrl@cipc.co.za. A copy of the Companies Act 2008 and the regulations are available on the CIPC website. Now I'm going to share information on our inquiry channels and CIPC website notices. All inquiries must be logged via the CIPC website, which is www.cipc.co.za. You would find the Query Resolution System, QRS, under the Inquiries icon. You are welcome to call our call center at 086 100 2472. We have a Facebook page called the CIPC. CIPC's notices. Remember to regularly visit the CIPC website to view notices for any developments at CIPC. Thank you very much. Alma, I now hand over you to Gregory.
Thank you, Shani. Yes, Gregory, you're welcome to start. Shani, I think you can move to his first slide for him.
Thank you very much, Alma, and thank you, Shani. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Gregory, and the brand Gregory is going to make a presentation on intellectual property. What is that? Intellectual property. Start my host and ask you to start your video. Okay. Thank you. That's me. Intellectual property. Those Elma, I would prefer to just for people to see my face though, and stop the video. It will definitely disturb me also on my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, we can see you. Thank you, Gregory. You're welcome to continue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Elma. What is intellectual property, ladies and gentlemen? Intellectual property is something that is so close to my heart, and I always explain it in simpler ways and simpler terms. There are many explanations out there that people always come up with, but the simplest way that I can put it is the application of the mind to develop something new or original, or it could be an idea that has to be reduced into something. It could be an invention that can be known as a patent. It could be literary work or artistic work that is known as copyright. It could be graphics, ornaments that are known as designs, and symbols, names, shapes, logos that are used in a commercial space that are mostly known as brands, and that will be trademarks. IP is the way of protecting those ideologies or those creations that you as a person came up with under the law. Now we have 4 types of domains under IP space. The domains would be the patent, the copyright, trademark, and designs. IP, in simpler terms and easier, it enables companies or individuals in business to benefit from their own creations or ideas that they have manifested over the period, or that they have used, the reputation that they've came up with, and the IP helps them to protect and commercialize in the commercial space. Shani, you can move to the next one. Hi, Shani, can move to the next slide, please? Thank you. No, I think it's trademarks first before designs. Thank you very much, Shani. Trademark. Trademark is a symbol, a slogan, and name that is used to identify or distinguish the goods and services of a particular business or a person from others. What does that mean? If you are in a space of business and you are trading in a particular service or product, people should identify and distinguish your services or your product from your counterparts. Similar people who are doing business in the same space. Simple example, Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola. Both of them are dealing with soft drinks that are made from a cola plant. However, for you to distinguish them, you would firstly distinguish with the name. The other one is Pepsi, the other one is Coca-Cola. And the colors thereof are definitely different. Blue and white, the other one is red and white. Whenever you see a red logo, which a white strip passing through it, you'll know it's a Coca-Cola strip. But whenever you see a blue and white or blue and red logo, you'll always associate it, especially in the soft drink, you'll always associate it with a Pepsi-Cola. Now, all IP domains, they get a certain period of monopoly that you can use within the law. The trademark time is a 10-year period, which is renewable each and every 10 years. So after every 10 years, the CIPC has an office where you will have registered and protected your trademark. They will notify you of your renewal to renew your trademark. That simply saying your trademark can be owned for a period or in perpetuality and up to a point whereby you don't renew it. But it's the only IP domain that you can be renewed over and over a period of time, even without renewing the logo or the name itself, leaving it as is. Let's go to the next one, Shani. Designs. Every time in this world, we have people who come up with new innovations when it comes to designs. A design is the shape or a form or an appearance or even a pattern, ornamentation, or a configuration of a product or an article. It has to be new, it has to be original. I always make this example when I come to new and originality, and I'll always put it in. Everyone who's in this workshop today, if I can say to you, please draw me a cat. Everyone sitting there, draw me a cat. We are all going to draw a replica of a cat. However, all of them, none will be identical. All of them will be cats, but none of them will be identical. That is originality on its own. So something that is original, something that it's not out there, something that comes from you, something that it has never been done. So you cannot take somebody's thing and then twist it one or two and say, but now this, especially if it's more similar and it's more in the space that you are going to trade within. So two aspects of designs that are protected. It's a functional design and aesthetic design. Aesthetic simply meaning the beauty. So functional designs, I'll make an example of a motor car, a BMW, a Mercedes-Benz, all the cars that you see, most of them of late, they are done on aerodynamic matters for them to save petrol. So the design of the cars are more aerodynamic. Designs of the car are more efficient. Fuel efficiency is the name of the game, you know. So on those elements, those functional designs are protected. And functional designs are protected for a period of 10 years, and aesthetic, only beauty, nothing has to do with functionality, are protected for 15 years. You can move to the next slide, Shani. Patents. Now, this is an exclusive right that is granted to you as an inventor by the state to say you have come up with an invention, which would be a product or a service that provides a new way of doing things. Now, this is very important, ladies and gentlemen. If you come up with an invention, it shouldn't be something that is obvious to the mind of the people that are working within that space. An example. Back in the years when cell phones were done, or when the telephone was done by Alexander Graham Bell, no one ever thought of making a cellular phone. However, everyone could use a telephone. Somebody said, but now let's use a cellular phone, which is going to be carried by an individual in his pocket. That was an invention. But somebody took it more further to say, now, this particular cell phone, it should use something, or it should text messages. That is an invention because no one ever thought about it before. The next one said, but now let me take it further to come up with social media. Each and every invention that comes along and the way the how part of how it works, it's an invention and it's protected. And a patent enjoys 20-year protection, provided it's renewed every 3 years also. An invention can take a number of forms, such as a process, it can be a machine, a device, or a new material. So whenever you are sitting down and thinking of something, especially in the space of pandemic that we are living in, only yesterday I saw on social media as a guy somewhere, I think it's in Limpopo or in Mpumalanga, who came up with a system of making fuel through waste material. That is an invention. How he does it, he even shows you steps by step, because it's a systematic way of doing things. A patent application, you as a person, you can understand it, you can put it into paper, but for you to make that claim, in South Africa, we always advise people to go to the lawyers, patent lawyers, to help you reduce whatever you are thinking or whatever you have come up with an invention into a claim and a patent claim to say, this is a patent and this is what I'm claiming and this is how the process are. However, through the CIPC and the WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization, and other organizations like the dtic, you can come to them and they can help you to lodge or protect your patent. We have what we call Inventor Assistant Program, but that we can always take it when we come and when we do more sessions with you, ladies and gentlemen. Sean, you can move to the next slide, please. Copyright. This is one of the deep and interesting topics. A copyright is an exclusive right granted by law, in this case to a creator of a work. A creator of a work is somebody who has come up with a literary work, musical work, artistic work. It could be a novel, it could be a movie, it could be a sculpture, it could be a painting. That work also should be original. Ladies and gentlemen, let's underline this and bold this. It has to be reduced into a material form. It has to be something that is tangible. It has to be something that you can listen to, that you can watch. It cannot only be protected if it's an idea, because it's an abstract when it's an idea. No one can see it or understand it. It's only in your mind. So whenever you think of something, I always advise people, the first line of defense towards your IP is reducing it into writing, which would be a copyright. However, in South Africa, presently as we stand, only now, we only enjoy, copyright only enjoys automatic protection. What does that mean? through what we call the Berne Convention, which is a treaty signed by countries all over the world on the copyright space, agreement to say whenever you create something and you write it down, reduce it into writing, you automatically acquire protection, not registration, but protection of your work. So most people, if you have books next to you, you'll always see in those books when you open them, there will always be written copyright reserved, a C in a circle, a year, and a name of the person who claims the copyright. And listen to what I'm saying, you claim the copyright, because we sitting here don't know who created that. So you are the person who is saying, I, as Gregory Koza, have written this particular book or poem, and this is my copyright. And the onus is with me to go to, if there's any infringement, to go to court to say, you have infringed on my copyright. Furthermore, the only copyright that is registrable in South Africa is cinematography, audio visuals, whether it's your adverts, movies, documentaries. As long as you have shot an audio visual, that is registrable within our laws. You can move to the next one, Shani. So CIPC registered only this particular IP that we find. We only register under copyright. We don't register anything because you acquire an automatic protection. We only register cinematography, audio visuals under the copyright space. The other side of copyright acquires automatic protection. That's why you see most paintings, or you'll always see at the bottom there is a signature or something that shows the owner's claim to the painting. We also register patents, which are inventions. We also register designs and trademarks. Trademarks can take a form of anything. Those are your brands, which we see every time. You stand on any street of any town and any place, you will see a blossoming of colors. That is your trademarks. Everyone advertising in his own color to say, I am here, I'm standing here. You distinguish any bank from the other one. Nedbank, it's got its own color. Standard Bank, Absa, everyone has his own color standing there and his logo. That is your trademark. That is your brand. And the reputation that you have acquired over the years are the ones that people will always distinguish one from the other. Next one, Shani. Now, for your rights or for your IP to be protected, CIPC also enforces the counterfeit goods under the 1997 Act. Under the 1997 Act, Counterfeit Good Act, we protect the copyright and the trademark. The patent side of it has its own protection. Therefore, this is to perform under the counterfeit goods. When you as a IP owner, you make a claim, you come and make an affidavit, and there will then be a seizure operation that will be carried out together with the SAPS and the SARS customs. CIPC, SAPS, and SARS customs will go with the infringed owner of the IP, because you are the one who will identify the products that you say they have infringed upon. And then this is to combat infringement in the counterfeit space and to build respect for most IPs that are being stolen. You can see each and every, most corners in the cities, you'll see people selling CDs, people selling clothes or sneakers and everything. The legitimacy or the fakeness of those particular lies, they are very questionable. So if you are the owner of a product and you see your product being sold at a street, you can go either to CIPC, SAPS, or SARS. It is a government intervention to assist IP owners to continue to enjoy the benefits following their IP and encouraging creativity. Last slide, Shani. So under the registration fees that you find within the IP space, the patent, which in most cases, I would really want to reiterate this, in most cases, you would go to the IP lawyers, and the 590 is the one that you'll be paying to the IP lawyers, and they will charge you whatever amount that they pay, that you charge. However, if you have something that you want to protect and you feel that someone might go before or might steal it from you, you can use what we call a provisional patent application. Or even if your patent is not yet finished, but you feel that you need to protect it, you can use a provisional patent application. It's only a 60 rand and it takes a 1-year period with an extension of 3 months. And trademark application is 590, a design application is 590, and a film under the copyright application, the only copyright that you can register, which is the film, it's 510. With those few words, I think, Shani, the last slide is to say thank you. I'm done. Thank you very much. Any questions? Over to you, Elma.
Thank you very much, Gregory. We are getting to our question and answer session now. Let me just start my video. You're asking me to do that. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take questions from the questions that people have raised during the webinar. What I also want to ask my colleagues, also Alicia from Proudly South African, if they can please provide their email addresses or contact details, perhaps on the question and answer section as well, that people can also send them emails, because we've seen a few people ask for your details. I know Shani Kelly's email address is skelly@cipc.co.za, and Gregory is gcorza, and Corza is with a KH, @cipc.co.za. You're welcome to send them email with some of your queries, but let's look at a few other questions that were raised. We might have answered some of them, but I'll read the question and then I'm going to ask someone from the panel to assist us with an answer. There was one question, I think this one is for Alicia, about service companies that do not do manufacturing. The question was, can they become members of Proudly South Africa, and what is the fee to register? Alicia, if you can please help us with that. Thank you.
Alma, I have answered that question. So my answer was both manufacturing and service providers are able to apply for membership, and I'm able to share the presentation to showcase the pricing structure, because the price for membership is different across different tiers and across the different turnover brackets that a company falls within.
Okay. Alicia, what you might also do for me is perhaps email us at education@cipc.co.za somewhere after the webinar, perhaps a copy of your presentation, because I know we're going to get many queries for copies of a presentation. And if need be, then we can also share your presentation when we share our presentation with anybody who asks for it.
So you said, sorry, Elma, you said it's education
at cipc.co.za. And then anyone who wants a copy are also welcome to send us email at education@cipc.co.za. If you want a copy of the presentations we did today, you're welcome. Just send us a short email to say you're requesting copies of these, and we will then forward you both the CIPC presentation as well as the Proudly South African presentation. Then, if I can just look at the next question we had. Someone asked, can one trade as a trust, or do you need to register as a company? Can I ask Marumo Modiba just to respond to this question, please?
Thank you, Elma. Yes, indeed. Firstly, a trust is not registered with, it's not within the CIPC mandate. One needs to go to the Master of the High Court to register a trust. However, you can have register a company or maybe a former CC, and you find one placing them as members of a trust. Therefore, that registered company with CIPC can be a member in that trust that you registered. That's how it works. Thank you.
Okay. And then there was also a question that you can assist us with, Marumo. It said, is it compulsory during the company registration to also register for VAT and PAYE and so forth? What is the situation around tax registrations?
Once again, if you recall, attendees, when Shani presented, especially on this portal, which I think it's where she indicated additional advantage of going through that platform, whereby it allows you to can register with SARS, your compensation fund, and all those additions. So it's a question of an option that is available for one to use. As I said in the beginning, that we as CIPC deals mainly with our mandate, and whenever matters has to do with SARS, we always advise and clients to go through the SARS website and for further information. Thank you.
Then there was also a question, how do I deregister an operating company? And can I ask Marumo that you just give us some details what people can do if they want information on deregistration, be it that they want to deregister, or perhaps they're in a situation where their business is either in a deregistration process because they haven't paid their annual returns, or it's a case that they already deregistered.
Thank you, Emma. I think on this question, it came, I also saw on the charts, there's quite a number of questions that were raised relating to this matter. Maybe let me perhaps start by saying, because the issue of asset is an issue again. Firstly, once a company is deregistered, the Act is very clear to say the asset becomes bona vacantia, that is, they fall into the state hands. In terms of one who was asking about the impact to you as an owner of that company. So if there is an asset, it will fall into the state hand. And now one can apply for deregistration voluntarily so through deregistration email at CIPC. And if you go to our website, it is very clear in terms of having the requirements for deregistration. And once the company is deregistered, the other question was whether, in terms of impact, I can just share with you that even if your company is deregistered, you still have an option to reinstate your company, and the company will be restored with retrospective effect, meaning you'll still retain the same registration number of that deregistered company. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then the next question, I want Gregory Koza to assist us with the answer. It reads, on the part of automatic protection, if I send, for example, a funding request to a private entity of a design, do I receive automatic protection on my IP? Gregory?
I'm here. I'm trying to understand the question. If you send a proposal to a funder, do you acquire automatic protection? Okay. I always say, let's separate the two. IP goes on, you hear me? IP goes along with the contractual matters, meaning whenever you go into a transactional matter, an IP, whether you have an IP or not, you must also disclose or go into the matter of a non-disclosure agreement with somebody. Because whenever, if you say your IP is not yet protected, however, if you have written it down and you are claiming protection as a copyright on your side, already you have started first line of defense on the side of an IP. And if there's any transgression or infringement on your IP, you are the one, the burden lies with you to go to court to say the particular person has transgressed. However, if you are saying you go to a funder and ask for money or something else, then it's a separate matter. Your IP is protected, it's something else. And the agreement between the two, it will be a contractual matter between the two on how you go about it. I don't know if I'm satisfying the question's answer, because I was wondering whether is the question taking your IP to the funder. It's your IP protected.
I suspect that may be what the person is asking.
A follow-up on that, it's different if you have a trademark which is registered already. Then you have something that is tangible. You have a certificate on your side to show. But if you have something, because most people will say, I have an idea, I always say, put it on paper so that it must be the first line of registration to say it's a copyright. Thank you, Elma. You are muted, Elma.
Thank you. Thank you, Gregory. Whilst we're busy asking or ask the question on IP, let me ask you another one that I see here. There's a question that says, as a software developer, do I have copyright protection of a software program that I have created, which clients are using to run their businesses?
Yes, you do. Another form of copyright is software, especially software if you have reduced it into writing. Because I always say, or the law always says, your copyrights must be reduced into writing. It must be tangible. So when you buy, let me say in this example, when you buy a cell phone, you'll always get a manual inside. That is a form of copyright. So if you have a software and you have reduced it into writing to say, this is how it works, that's the first form of copyright or of protection under copyright. And then the second part will be you giving your software a name, and then you can protect it under the trademark section. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to ask, there is a lady by the name of Muriel who asked a question on BizPortal saying she needs she says BizPortal needs a registration. We are a consulate and need to check info for visa requests. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to use it for that purpose, Muriel. I think the best will be if you can log an inquiry on our website and ask, you will be able to ask a question on BizPortal and then let them respond to it, because I am unsure. I almost think you won't be able to use it for this purpose, but please log a query there that they can respond to it. Then our next question is, a person says, good day and thanks for this webinar. I just want to know what the process is to change a private limited company to an NPC. I'm going to ask Marumu again to respond to this question.
Thank you, Elma. This one needs to do what we call a conversion. I think it's called 15.1 for conversion from a private company to a non-profit NPC. However, one just needs to note that if you go that direction, the NPC, it's regarded as a public company, as you know. However, there are no shares there. Therefore, you'll have to indicate that you are decreasing those shares. Remember, you're coming from an environment of that company with shares and going into an NPC for a conversion. But what's key is you submit a special resolution for that conversion. And all that information is also available on our website under conversions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just quickly am looking at more of these questions we have here. There's a question here. It's a person who says he's a government official and they've registered to CIPC to register SMEs, but they forgot their password. and it's taking long to get it again. What should they do? I'm not sure whether they're now referring to a customer code password or to a BIS portal password.
I think it's the customer password, and if you use when Shani presented, she made mention of that number /247. What is that number? USD number that you can. It gives you an icon where you can just reset your password. You can always reset the password.
Yeah, also on the website.
Also,
as well. Yes. So I think you should reset your password on our website. Then I see another question. I think this may be partly South African, probably. In the event that 100% of components or parts are imported and assembled locally, does the finished product qualify as made in South Africa? Alicia, if you can please assist us with that one.
So if I understand correctly, the company is asking if 100% of the product is assembled here, but the components, all of it imported from abroad. Is that correct?
They were saying in the event that 100% of the components or parts are imported, yes.
Yeah,
but then assembled locally. Does that finished product qualify as made in South Africa?
No, that product does not comply with local content because all of the components of that product is imported and only assembled here. Remember, we said at least 50% or more of the product must be manufactured here and only at least 50% or less of the product imported. So if all of the product is imported and only assembled here, then they do not qualify for membership.
Okay, thank you very much. I see somebody asked if we can send the recording to them. I again want to suggest that you send us email at education@cipc.co.za. We'll try and get you a link to which you'll be able to use to look at the recording. Then there was another person who asked that we touch a bit more on the deregistration process. Marumo?
Okay. It's quite big. There's a lot on deregistration, but as if I recall, one asked in terms of saying what is the impact of deregistering, especially the impact on the director. Now the CIPC, upon deregistration, we are led by the legislation itself, which says the asset becomes a bona vacantia that is in the state hands. And once a company is deregistered, it's regarded as that there is no life at all until you take a decision or make a choice to reinstate the company. And once you apply for reinstatement with CIPC, which the requirements are on our website, we reinstate the company back into business as if it was never deregistered.
Okay, thank you.
But if you have any specific question relating to that, you can always send an email directly to education email that we provided. Then we'll be able to specifically deal with your specific matter that you want to know, because there's quite a lot of information to get in the registration. Thank you. Thank
you. Then there's a question, a very interesting one. It says, can an NPC who was registered mistakenly as an NPC with members amend its MOI in such a manner so as to state that it is an NPC without members? The NPC was registered in 2012 and it's since not acquired membership as they were never meant to be registered as an NPC with members. Yeah, Marum.
Okay. Firstly, remember, when you register your NPC, the legislation is very clear to say when you gives you an option to say, do you adopt the articles as they are, which talks to your constitution itself in terms of your MOI. So therefore, it's not a transmit. But for me, as I'm saying, you can always amend. The Act allows you to amend an MOI through your special resolution. And also you'll have an option to say, if you registered mistakenly, those are options. You can either register as you correctly said it was done in 2012. You can also register a new company, a new NPC. If you want to do that, that's another option. But yes, you have an option to rectify that through an MOI that will be of your choice, customized according to your choice through a special resolution. Thank you.
Okay, we've got very little time left. So I think I'm just going to take one more question before closing. It says, if a registered a person with a registered customer code using a certain cell phone number, the cell phone number has now changed. It seems, I'm not going to read the whole question. It seems to me the cell phone numbers changed. They're struggling to use their customer code now. They've tried to re-register, but it doesn't really work for them, because I think they keep on getting back to their old customer code. What should they do in this instance? Shani, do you want to answer this one? How do they change their phone number even?
Remember, when the presentation was done by Shani, she spoke about the, it's not resetting. Just that the question is very vague in terms of saying what is key. But my point is, in your presentation, you spoke about that one has an option to reset a password. But now I think what's key, what may create the confusion to the customer, is the fact that you are talking about the new e-services. And in terms of the new e-services, one needs now your email address and a cell phone number as a username.
On customer code, there is a way they must go to the website. They'll be able to complete details and provide proof that this is their customer code and that the cell phone number is changed. It can be changed on the system.
Definitely.
So they can definitely apply for that.
But my point is, on the new e-services, you need the email address. Customer needs the email address and phone number, because that becomes your username.
Yes. On new e-services, that is the case. But if you're still using old e-services, then you can ask to amend your personal details, like your cell phone number or even an email address that has been changed. Please just check our website for information on that. With that, we have come to the end of our webinar. I want to apologize for the problem we had, the technical difficulty that the slides were not moving when Shani was presenting. What I want to suggest, I know some people have typed the email addresses here under questions and answers, but I kindly request that you send us email, just a short email to say you request a copy of a presentation, and you send it to education@cipc.co.za, in which case we will then send you a copy of the presentations. Thank you very much. Marumo, you seem to want to say something?
Yes, I see there's a question here. It says, I registered a P2B company. Can the company work with cement companies or mines? Firstly, your name, obviously here, we don't have details whether is it descriptive in terms of restricting you to anything. But at the end of the day, nothing stops you from working with cement. As you know, the objective may be, you can have a objective that is general, that will enable you, nothing will stop you from working with cement for your registered P2I. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. As I said, we've basically come to the end of our presentations and of our question and answer session. We're grateful that you joined us today on the webinar. If you have any questions for CIPC, you're welcome to log queries on the CIPC inquiry system on the website. The reason we're requesting this is because these queries, you choose the category, say companies, and perhaps it's on name reservation or whichever section, but it will go directly to the section to answer your question, the section that actually works with the specific problem you're experiencing. Otherwise, you can also send us queries on education@cipc.co.za, and if possible, we'll try our very best to assist you. We want to thank Alicia for joining us today from proudly South Africa. I'm sure she's also going to be hearing from some of her customers. And then can I close the session then? If I have not been able to respond to your question, please send us your question at education@crpc.co.za or log a query on the CRPC website. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye-bye.